This short video is a series of hints and tips for your practical exam. The exam consists of 4 tasks. The first task is to select and use a pipette correctly. You will be given a number of pipettes, all of which you've used before during the practicals, and you will be asked to set one of them to the correct volume. It is up to you to select the correct pipette and also to select the correct tip from the selection given. You will then be given a second volume, and what you'll have to do is go into another room and pipette that volume 5 times onto a balance. Don't forget to zero the balance, and using the water provided and the pipette, repeat the action 5 times, and in your book note down the final reading on the balance. The key here is to pipette slowly and accurately. If you're unfamiliar with pipetting, please see the pipetting video. The second task is to prepare a molar solution. You will be given the molarity that you need to prepare. In the lab we sometimes use an analytical balance as shown here, but for this exam we'll be using a top pan balance. First, take your tube and add to it sufficient water to help you to dissolve the compound being used. In the practical it will either be sodium chloride or sucrose. Typically put in about 80% of the volume that you will require. Next, go to the balance and check that you have the right compound, in this case sodium chloride, and also check that the molecular weight you're using in your calculations to work out how much you need is correct. Place a weigh boat on the balance and zero it. This is fairly straightforward to do by pressing the 0 button. Next, using a spatula, add a small amount of the compound to the weigh boat. The aim here is to get to the amount that is required. So looking at this a bit more closely, we place a weigh boat on the balance and zero it, and then add the compound to the weigh boat until we get the desired weight, in this case 1 gram. If you go over, don't worry, just take some of the compound back off the weigh boat until you get to the required amount. Next, add the compound to your tube containing the water. Once added, put the cap on the tube and mix thoroughly to dissolve. Finally, make the solution up to the final correct volume. In this case it's 50 ml. So pour the contents of the tube into the measuring cylinder, and then add water until we get to the required volume. Here we can see a close-up of the solution being made up to volume. Keep your eye level with the 50 as you're looking at it, and bring the level of the liquid up to that mark. Finally, return the liquid to your container and label it with your student number and give to a staff member. Task 3 is to set up and use a spectrophotometer. You'll be provided with 4 standards labelled 1 to 4, with 4 being the most dilute, a water sample and an unknown. Make sure the spectrophotometer is on the correct wavelength, in this case 440 nanometers, and then select the correct cuvette. You will have a choice of 2, and add to it the water. This will be your blank. Make sure that you insert the cuvette the correct way round. Remember which direction the light path travels and the fact that the cuvette may have two clouded sides. Close the lid of the spectrophotometer and press the blank button. Once the spectrophotometer has zeroed, remove the cuvette and pour the liquid into the waste beaker provided. Next, take the lowest, the number 4 solution, and pour into the cuvette. As we will be going up the concentration gradient, there will be no need to wash the cuvette between samples. Place the cuvette in the spectrophotometer, close the lid and record the reading. Again, discard the liquid. Next we add standard 3 and we repeat the process. Again, we close the lid and record the value. After the last sample, we discard the liquid and we wash the cuvette with the provided water. Give it a good rinse and then use one of the provided paper towels to dry the cuvette. Just invert the cuvette and tap it a few times to get any excess liquid out. Once the cuvette is washed, put in your unknown. Place the cuvette in the spectrophotometer, close the lid and note down the value. The values from task 3 will be used in task 4, which is to draw a graph.